Here's something interesting. Scientists dream about doing great things. Engineers do them.
What? We do the scientists.
Hi, and welcome back to An Engineering Odyssey with your host, Gaff and Pats. That was a quote from James Michener, and I hope that's not what he meant.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't, but the quote makes sense. Scientists generally theorize concepts, whereas engineers design and execute them. But we're not trying to knock scientists, are we?
No, we're not trying to bash scientists at all.
Oh, poor choice of words. Yeah, anyways, getting on with the episode today.
Yeah, okay, first of all, what we've decided is to bring all the early education stuff, all that content together in one episode. So I know previously we mentioned that we were going to split it up into a number of episodes. We've now made the executive choice to bring it all in one episode. The reasons for that is that we can now refer back to just one single episode for all this educational stuff.
Yeah, so when in the future we refer back to GCSEs, A-levels, early education, we can just refer back to this episode, and all the information for that can just be found here.
And then the next thing is that we want to just get into current engineering topics, make it a lot more interesting, a lot more engaging, and hopefully by this after this episode we can just jump straight into that.
So, anyways, what we are doing today is sticking with this sort of early education mini-series thing we started, and the topics we're going to cover today are GCSEs, A-levels. We're also going to talk about revision tips, so before exams, things like that. And we're also going to go through the UCAS application process because that's quite important at the end of A-levels and start of university. And we're also going to talk about how important early education is just in general. So shall we get cracking then?
Let's get straight into it. GCSEs.
Right.
GCSEs are the first bit of your education, which is very important. This is the first building block, let's say.
Yeah, it's compulsory. It's from in the UK year 10 and year 11, so
up to the age of 16.
Yeah, it's up to the age of 16. That's the most important part.
And it's the first time in your kind of educational path that you're going to be actually making choices. You get to choose what subjects you want to do, and they do influence what you will be doing in the future. So it's a very important step to now start thinking about what you want to be doing. And if you haven't already, go back to our previous episode where we talk about our early interests and we go through how we came to the conclusion of doing engineering
as a career.
Yeah.
So speaking of engineering, in GCSE, linking GCSE and engineering together, one of the most important subjects in GCSE that you'll do, which will lead you on to engineering, is mathematics.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if you speak to any engineer now, they'll tell you maths is the foundation of engineering and it's something that you need. And that foundation and the knowledge of maths comes from GCSE. That's where you first start. So it's extremely important. And you'd say the same, I assume.
Yeah, definitely. And just more than just engineering, I think maths is very important in many different fields and in life in general. It's the building blocks to life, and it's going to get really philosophical. We're not going to get into that, but maths is very important. Yeah,
you were saying it like to calculate things in the universe, to do anything you need maths.
Exactly.
It's the base. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's so important. One of the other subjects that you look at when you're younger and you carry on going is science. So
science.
That's an extremely important one during GCSEs for engineering as well.
And science typically broken down into three core sciences, which is physics, chemistry, and biology.
Yeah, and in GCSEs you have an option of doing the Science Core Award, Double Award, or Triple Award. The core is a single GCSE.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's single GCSE, 2 GCSEs, and 3 GCSEs. Yeah, 3 GCSEs.
And then obviously in the Triple Award, you're getting the separate degree for
separate qualification.
Separate qualification for each subject. So with the physics, the chemistry, and the biology. Whereas the core and the double, they're combined. So if you are really into the STEM side of things, you definitely want to try and get into a STEM career. We would encourage you to go down the triple science route. It's a lot more focused.
I mean, STEM stands for what? Science, technology, engineering, maths. So science is major in that.
Definitely.
Yep. Also, one of the things that you have to do as a compulsory in GCSE. So these three, them two which we mentioned, they're maths and science, are not optional. They are compulsory.
Yeah.
In science, you have the option of picking how much science you want to do,
Yeah,
but you have to do some form of science.
Yeah.
Another obviously compulsory subject is English.
Yeah.
It's so important. You might not think for engineering it is as important, but it really is. And
we tell you this from experience.
Yep.
I can say personally, I never thought that English was going to be important, as in going into engineering.
Yeah.
It was something that I was relatively good at.
You'd always brush it aside. I mean, English is okay. Yeah, it's not.
You always
nothing,
thought it was
it's not technical. So why would it?
Exactly.
It has
yeah.
nothing to do with.
It has
STEM.
no maths in it. It
Yeah.
has no science in it.
It's not technical.
It's
so it won't
a
help
lot
me
of
in
words.
engineering, yeah.
You didn't think it had anything to do with being an engineer, and to some extent that's true.
Yeah.
But we realized that it's actually a huge part of being an engineer, especially at university, because as you'll find out later on when we talk about this, is that you will be doing a lot of report writing, a lot of technical writing,
essays.
and you need to have good English, vocabulary, grammar, etc., just to make sure that you can actually do those reports.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really important thing, and a lot of people overlook it. So take it seriously from GCSE. Make sure you do get a good grade in English, because it will help your engineering career and it'll just help you in life in general.
Yeah. So an important thing to mention about GCSEs are, we're trying to link it to engineering of what we pick with GCSEs to go forward into engineering. But an important thing here in the UK is you need GCSEs to do anything, whether it's engineering
exactly.
or whether it's working at McDonald's. So it's funny, but McDonald's require 5 GCSEs for you to work there.
That's true. Yeah.
And the ones they ask for are maths and English. So you need to get a good grade in maths and English to do anything in life. So it's just really important. And for engineering in particular, we obviously mentioned maths being the foundation and English being a really good, supporting subject, I'd say.
So those are the compulsory subjects we've covered.
Mm-hmm.
Let's touch on some other optional subjects that you might have the opportunity to do, depending on your school, obviously.
Yeah.
So the first one being design and technology. This is something that we both did, but different types.
Yeah. So I did the more basic woodwork type, where you just sort of in a workshop and you create like a table or chair or something of your design, and you did a more.
Yeah, and mine was electrical design. So we worked with a lot of circuit board designs. We made like physical products and stuff, but it was all electrical based.
Using electrical components, basically.
Electrical components, yeah. So we had the two different sides of the design technology, but I think the main thing that we want to bring, that we want to take away from design technology, is that it's fun, it's hands-on, and it's probably your first glimpse into doing something a little bit more engineering related.
That's the truth, really.
Yeah.
Is because we say maths is the base, and we say science is important, and we say English will help you write reports. But the first actual glimpse of engineering you get is not through any of them; it's through design technology.
Yeah, because with design technology, it's solving a puzzle essentially, and that is what you do in engineering. You have problems, you need to solve.
For
them.
you, maybe because you did sort of electrical components. For us, it was more design work, but that is still so important.
That's a very big part of engineering.
Not only that, we used 3D modeling softwares like SolidWorks. Give me such an insight into it, and I enjoyed using that software. Is one of the reasons why I looked into engineering.
Yeah,
because it was so much fun modeling whatever, like I said, tables, chairs, whatever it was in the workshop we were making. But it was still fun to make it on
the hands-on aspect. That's I think it's very important.
The practical aspect is just amazing. Yeah,
it breaks away from the cycle of being in a classroom and you're just studying.
Yeah, having someone talk at you for an hour.
Yeah,
that's what maths is.
At the end of the day, you walk away with a pretty cool project that you've done,
and you get to take it home.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if you put effort into it,
I think I've still got it somewhere.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah,
gathering dust, but there we are. So another subject which we sort of touch on, just in terms of, again, going back to STEM, the T in STEM is technology. So IT is something which we say is important. Again, it's just good to
This is a new one.
So what we touch on now is
this is something that's emerging, especially over the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, especially since the .com boom, when the internet exploded and everything was becoming online. Computer science is now a huge thing, and it is something that's going to be massive in the future. And if you can get into that now, and this is very related to engineering, because as we know, being having completed our undergraduate degrees, we know that there's quite a bit of computer science involved, whether that's to do with basic coding or MATLAB coding, different languages, knowing how to use different softwares. All of that has something to do with computer science.
Something you don't prepare for either, because in GCSEs, in A-levels, no one tells you need to know coding for engineering. So something that schools are trying to touch on, I think they should be doing a lot more of, is teaching coding to younger students, not just in GCSEs, before GCSEs. So when they get into GCSEs, they have the choice of taking it on. Because learning a coding language is very difficult later on, especially when you're getting bogged down with exams. No one has the time for it. And you really won't. Until you don't get to your degree, you'll only learn that language, and whatever you need, you'll just do to get, the grades and whatever.
I remember reading somewhere, I haven't got the statistics with me, but I remember reading somewhere that those that are interested in computer science now from a young age are actually predominantly female as well.
Oh, wow.
So it's great to see a lot more females getting into the technical side of things, getting into engineering, into computer science, because obviously typically in the past, it was always more of a male-dominated, workforce. But now seeing that it's integrating and more females are coming in, it's a great thing to see.
So many STEM women in STEM,
definitely
societies being created and things. It's amazing, but we'll get onto that next time.
So IT being very important. Definitely don't push it out of the way. Try and master it as soon as possible. Become computer literate. It makes everything easier.
So just wrapping all that up, those are the sort of subjects we would combine and say for engineering, get them. Beyond that, one of the fun things about GCSE, it doesn't limit you to what you need to do next. So all the other options, keep it open. Do other things you enjoy. So maybe you do want to do engineering, but you enjoy art or you enjoy music. Do them in GCSEs. It's your chance. It's your chance to enjoy other subjects as well. But for engineering, pick these ones. It's maths, English, science. They're compulsory, but pick the triple award for science if you're interested in engineering or a STEM degree. Design and technology and IT, and if there's some sort of computer science and coding, take that on as well. That's our recommended. And
keep your options open. And it's hard to close off your options in GCSE anyway, but try out, like Pat said, try out as many things as you want and do things that you're actually interested in.
You never know what you might change you.
Yeah. I mean, if you are focused for STEM related careers, engineering, then hopefully the advice we've given you in terms of the science, focusing on the maths, hopefully the computer science or the ICT that you also want to focus on, these will help you. But if you don't, there's also many other subjects you can get into.
You just never know what sparks your interest. So in the last chapter we spoke about our early career interest. Just before going into GCSEs, I was thinking about pharmacy, and then I went and did design technology, did IT, did sort of sciences, English, maths, everything, and it turned out I wanted to do engineering.
Exactly.
I imagine if I had restricted all of my options in GCSEs just to something that was related to pharmacy or something along them lines, I wouldn't have had the option to do design technology or whatever. So make it broad in GCSEs, do a lot of things, try a lot of things. So moving on to A-levels now.
A-levels. So A-levels is the next step after GCSEs. It's not compulsory. So now after your GCSEs, you can go into a different number of paths. You can go into apprenticeships. You can go into A-levels, which is the further education.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, commonly known as further education because it's optional.
Apprenticeships are work schemes, so you'd be actually working and training on the job, let's say. I think they usually last about a year or 2 years, and then typically you'll actually have a job with that company that you trained with. You also have options of taking vocational educational paths, so that's BTEC and NVQs. You should know that you don't need A-levels to get into university, and we'll talk about that as we come close to the university part of the episode. You can get into universities with BTECs, with NVQs. However, it's more traditional to do the A-level route. Obviously, some people struggle and they go for different paths. Don't ever be put off. It's still very, very doable to get into university.
Or you can get into engineering from...
So
from
apprenticeships
I know a lot of people who do apprenticeships, learn the craft, learn the trade, do maintenance work, and then from there build up the skills and then go back to do a degree later on in life. So they could be 30, 40 years old, and then they go back to university to do the engineering degree. So any path works, and no one's right, no one's wrong.
But what we'll be discussing today is just the A-level route. This is what we did. This is what traditionally most people do. And it is very important. So like we said, it's the further education side of things. A-levels is split into 2 years. So your first year is AS, and then second year is A2. A2 being the most important one. This is where you actually do your exams. And you cover the content from the 2 years.
Just to step on that, back in when we did our A-levels, it was split into do your exams for AS in your first year, then do your exams in A2 second year. But now it's all just at the end of the 2 years.
It's becoming tougher. It definitely is.
A lot tougher.
The government is making it easier for you, but you're gonna have to
try and
hopefully
work
retain
really
all
hard.
that information over the 2 years, and then sit the exam in your last year. I don't know about resit opportunities.
I'm not sure about that.
There might be.
When
I'm
we
not
were
too
there,
sure.
they gave us the opportunity to resit.
Obviously, yeah, we
but-
had the opportunities, but it's very important. A levels are a crucial step now. It's going to be a lot more refined. So you don't have a wide variety of subjects. You're only going to be choosing 3 or 4 subjects
And
maximum.
them subjects, whichever you do, will get considerably more difficult than
Yeah.
what they were in GCSEs.
You want to tell them about the major step up?
Yeah, well, it's no secret. The
Yeah.
step from GCSE to A level is the most difficult step in your life. That's not a joke. The step from GCSE to A levels is the largest step. Going from A levels to university is just a breeze. You'll just slide right into university and be fine. But from GCSE to A levels is so difficult. The first few months, the first year is just phenomenal. How much more they teach you. Maybe it's the reason why they're increasing the workload in GCSE to try and bridge that gap. It's not fair because then you're just learning a lot more when you're younger, but that gap is so big and it's so difficult to get over. So knuckle down, strap yourselves in, because as soon as you go into A levels, it's going to get tough.
After this, we'll also give some revision tips. Some techniques that we found is really good, and these will be very helpful in your exams in both GCSE and A levels.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to engineering and the subjects that we did in A levels, which definitely helped us through our engineering degree at university.
So do you want to go through the subjects you did?
Yeah. First of all, there isn't an engineering subject, So like if you're going for law, let's say you're more focused towards the law side of things.
Mm-hmm.
There is an actual
Law
subject.
Yeah.
Or if you're going towards business, you want to study business in university, there's business studies in A levels,
etc.
etc. In engineering, there isn't such a thing. There isn't an engineering subject.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to stick with the traditional maths and science. Just as we mentioned in your GCSEs, you have to do that in A levels, and it's going to be a lot more intense. Obviously, you don't have the wide variety of choice. So what I chose was maths. I chose maths, chemistry, physics, and English language.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to give the 4 that you chose as well?
So I chose maths as well, chemistry as well, physics as well, but I went with psychology.
Psychology. So we have the 3 subjects that are similar, and then the 1 subject I did English and you did psychology. But there's a good reason as to why we did that.
Why we did them?
Yeah.
I was gonna say. So
let's go through the maths and the sciences.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we'll touch on the English and physics.
That's fine,
So the importance of maths and science, we've already mentioned. You'll be going to a lot more theoretical concept.
Yeah.
And as Pat said, the step up is huge from GCSEs. It's a very, very large jump, but don't be put off. You need to be enjoying it as you go along, because that's the only way you will survive through your A-levels.
But the magnitude of the increase in what you're learning is ridiculous. I mean, in GCSEs, for instance, in physics, you're sort of testing springs and the strength and the stress in them. And then that goes from that to then you're talking about atoms on the level where you're talking about quarks and stuff. It goes so crazy. Chemistry the same. You're talking about formulas and stuff in GCSE, and you do in A levels as well. But then you go into Van der Waals forces, and it just goes crazy.
It's a lot more.
It's a lot more. It's interesting, but it's a lot.
Lot of content, but you need to find it interesting from the get go. That's the only way you're gonna stay motivated. It's the only way you're gonna make sure that you do well. So with your maths, you be doing that. There are options to do further maths as well.
Would recommend, if you like maths, definitely do further maths. If you're going to think about engineering anyways, it'll help.
Further mathematics is useful. However, if you actually are good at maths and if you actually enjoy it,
then do it.
That's
the only reason.
Don't pick it because
you think. Because one of the important things is you do maths at A levels, and it is a big step up, like we've mentioned already. So doing further maths is an even bigger step from just doing normal maths at A levels. But if you're thinking about doing engineering anyways, you need further maths, but you'll do that in your degree. So all the content you cover in further maths in A levels, you end up covering in an engineering degree.
Yeah.
But they sort of stagger it a little bit better. It's not over
I think in university
quick.
there is a bit more kind of like because there's loads of people with different backgrounds, so there will be a buffer period where people get up to speed.
So if you think of it, the first year of any degree, the reason why most first years of degrees don't count towards your overall degree that you get is because it's like
it's getting everyone up to speed. Essentially,
the best way to explain it is like grass. So exactly. No,
grass.
It's honestly it's like grass because different piece. I don't know what's one.
A blade, I think.
A blade of grass. Each blade of grass is a different height. But in the first year of university, it's aimed at cutting them all to the same height and getting everybody on the same plane, and then they grow up.
So the first year of university, the lawnmower.
Yeah, that's exactly. So some people come in with further maths and they're a bit like higher up. Other people have just come in with normal, but the first year of university just levels everybody.
I mean, that's
out.
not to cut down the further end.
No, it's just leveling everyone out and saying this is the level everyone needs to reach, and then after that they go on and what. So not the best analogy, but there we go. I've used it now. We're sticking with it.
First year of university, everybody will be up to speed on the same
that's
level.
That's exactly what I meant. In a long-winded way, that's what I meant.
The same goes with your sciences. So we picked physics and chemistry. Physics is a very typical engineering-related science. I think every single science, engineering discipline will involve physics. There's the fluid mechanics side of things.
Funny you say this, by the way. Do you want to tell the ladies and gentlemen which subject you dropped first year?
Well, okay, yeah. So I did drop physics after my first year.
Yeah.
And I continued with the maths, the chemistry, and the English, which wasn't a bad choice. Like that was perfectly fine. And we'll touch on why that was fine to do engineering. But I did struggle with physics. I didn't enjoy it as much, and I enjoyed chemistry a lot more, even though I felt chemistry was harder.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it a lot more, and I felt like it was gonna keep things open for me.
I think for physics, maybe you would have enjoyed the second year more, depending on. So with physics, okay, so they're all split in units, right? So there's 6 units per science. Unit 1 and 2 are knowledge and exam based, and then unit 3 is a lab test or a lab examination. So unit 5 from physics was it was to do with nuclear fission and fusion, which is very related to chemical engineering. So I think you would have enjoyed that.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the second part of unit 5 was optional, depending on your school. So we did astronomy and astrology. So parsecs.
I think I think that kind of.
So it just depends. It just depends what you did. But physics unit 4, 5, and 6 would have been quite interesting. But
it's not to say that I didn't find it interesting. I did find it a lot more. I did find it difficult. And yeah, you're right. The things I learned in the first year,
they weren't,
because I found it a little bit difficult. I didn't find them as interesting, so obviously I didn't do it as well.
Makes sense.
And I had to make a choice because keeping both those sciences on and the maths, I knew I was going to have quite a bit of struggles when it comes to exams.
And going back to not knocking you, going back to our previous chapter, you said in A-levels you were still very undecided of what you wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So dropping physics wasn't a thing where it was difficult. You just dropped it because you didn't want to do it. You really didn't know which path you wanted to take.
I think chemistry would have kept things more open for me because, if you did listen to the previous episode, I did mention pharmacy was an option for me, and it was still in my mind even when I was in A-levels. So chemistry by far, I think most people actually say it's the hardest A-level that you could ever study.
Chemistry?
Yeah.
No, I would say mathematics.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, further maths maybe.
It depends.
I didn't think mathematics was as difficult.
Chemistry
but
tests
chemistry
you.
is notorious.
No, chemistry tests you in different ways. So a lot of it is concepts that you need to learn and understand.
A lot of it was memorizing.
Yeah. Unit 5 was all the transition metals and just learning colours, and that's not a joke. You have to learn the colours and other things to do with the metals. It's all long. But yeah, moving on from that. Yeah.
So you have these sciences.
Yeah.
Now, English is what I went with, and you did psychology. You ended up dropping it.
I dropped psychology, so I took on maths, chemistry, physics into A2. Just a quick mention of psychology. It was very good because how we talked about in GCSEs with English, it's the report writing skill. So psychology still gave me that. But an important note from that, which I could give to listeners now, if they if they're listening and they're going into A-levels now, if it's someone listening for parents or sibling, whatever,
aunts, uncles, grandparents.
Something I would recommend is psychology. I did because I thought would look good. I had picked my first 3 subjects. I had no interest in biology, so I didn't want to do that, and I was stuck. I didn't want to do further maths either, so I was like, what should I do? So I picked psychology, thinking universities will look at it and they'll think, oh, psychology is a very interesting subject. That's good. And that was a mistake I made. Even though I did learn a lot of writing skills and soft skills from there, which was good, I didn't enjoy it. And I think that sort of, when you don't enjoy something, you just don't excel.
It's always important to make sure you pick something that you enjoy.
That's it.
Throughout.
So if like me, you've picked the 3 subjects you need for the degree you want to do, and you're looking to do one more, don't do something that you think will look good. Just do something you'll enjoy and you'll do well in. Yeah. It's more important because we'll touch on it next, is the UCAS points and stuff. They make a difference, and there's no point in doing something you think will look good, but you end up doing bad in. So just something I wanted to mention. Yeah.
With English, as I mentioned with the GCSE English, I was okay with, I did pretty well,
Mhm.
and I didn't find it difficult. I actually enjoyed the classes. I know it wasn't very engineering related, but I already knew that with the maths and the chemistry, I could do engineering.
Well,
And we will touch on that when it comes to UCAS. When you start applying, you need to know what kind of subjects you need to get into certain degrees.
yeah, I mean, doing 3 A levels or A2. You did the 2 technical and 1 sort of not so technical. I don't know how to put it, but it's quite good to break it up like that. It gives you something else to do. I think I enjoyed chemistry so much. I loved physics and I loved maths, but it was sometimes I would find it was just too technical, and I would have loved to have something else there to
Yeah.
break it up.
Yeah.
But and don't get me wrong, you don't have to drop a subject in AS. You can take it onto A2, but
Mhm.
it does
I've
increase
seen
your
the
workload.
I've seen the benefits of doing English at A levels.
Yeah.
I mean, my writing has improved a lot more, and I've definitely seen how it's helped me in my university degree. So without a doubt, I'm not against the fact that English or even degrees like psychology.
And it doesn't just stop at your A levels. It does go on. So working in industry, you write so many reports. It helps out there.
Let's get into some revision tips though.
Well, just before that, wrapping up A levels, did you enjoy them? I just want to ask. Did you find enough time to enjoy them?
Yeah. So in classes, it was enjoyable. They actually were pretty interesting. Definitely, without a doubt, they were interesting.
Just very stressful.
They were stressful.
Yeah.
When it comes to exam times, when it comes to assignments, they were stressful. You had a lot going on. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, same. I would say same. Enjoyed them. Very stressful.
yeah.
Okay. Now moving on to some revision tips for
Revision
GCSEs and A levels.
Yeah.
The first bullet point we've got on our notes here is the most important one, so we should start with that, I guess.
Researching the exam structure and exam past papers in general.
Past papers.
This is your bread and
The
butter.
holy grail
Yeah.
for revision in A levels in GCSE.
Yeah.
Just do the past papers. Answer the
Well, not
question.
just do the past
No,
papers, but this
it's the
is
main
very
bit. Yeah,
important.
it's so important. GCSEs, A levels, do the past papers, but more importantly, learn the mark scheme. I think something in university you'll learn as you do your exams. You can be vague about the answer. So if it's a mathematical answer, you need to get it to whatever 3 significant figures. But some of the wordy answers you give in degrees, they can be quite wishy-washy. But as long as you're hitting the main point, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
With A levels and GCSE, the mark scheme requires you to define it a certain way that they want you to define it, and it's important to know the mark scheme and the structure of the exam
Yeah.
and how they want you to answer the question.
Cater your answers not for how you like to answer it,
Yeah.
but how the examiner wants it.
That's
answered.
exactly what I mean.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Because you're at the end of the day, and it's an examiner that's going to read your script, and they're going to give you a mark based on what they see in the mark scheme. So help yourself out.
Yeah.
Give the answers in the term of the
'Cause
mark scheme
it's-
and not in how you think it is. in
Yeah,
your
it's
head.
so true. In degrees and in university, it's your lecturer who normally marks it.
Yeah.
So they know their students, they know that what they mean and how they speak or whatever.
Yeah.
But in A levels, it's all externally marked, whether it's AQA, EdXL, whoever it is, and they just look at the mark scheme and say, have you hit this word? Have you hit that? Have you hit these points? If you don't hit them, you don't get the mark. That's simple as that. Whether you're around the right region, you won't get any marks. In university, you might get, compensated marks, whatever. Not in A levels. So learn the structure. So important.
And at this stage, there's an abundance of material that you can go to.
So many.
There's so many different
Yeah,
past
so
papers online. You just find your exam board. You'll find all the past papers there with the mark schemes, and do as many as you can. Don't think the last 2-3 years is enough.
No,
do
as many
as you can,
And
and repeat. Just go over and over and over.
Not only repeating them as well. Every time you do a past paper, set an hour aside or set however long the exam is for, and do it as under exam conditions where you don't look at anything and you go through the full paper start to finish.
Yeah.
And then you go back in red pen and mark it and
Yeah.
scrutinize yourself. Do it, strictly mark yourself. Don't just give yourself marks because you want to feel better. Mark it properly, and that's what will make yourself better. That's the main one we think is the best. Yeah.
Some other revision techniques, we'll just rattle through them quickly.
Mhm.
Color coding works for some people, works for others, doesn't work for others.
Yeah. Just depends if you're
It just
visual or
makes
not, yeah.
everything a bit more bright. Highlights,
Stands out.
the important concepts. It stands out. So color coding, if it works for you, definitely go ahead and use it. Get all those pens, all the fancy ones and
Yeah.
stuff.
Highlighters,
Post-it
yeah.
notes, highlighters. Go crazy.
Take notes in class. Apart from what the reading material the
Mhm.
class the teacher gives you, take additional notes in class. So if the teacher, he or she is saying something and you don't understand it, write it in your own way. So something that you understand it, how you understand it. I can't really give an example because I can't think of one off the top of my head, but make it specific to yourself, something that you understand when you read it
Yeah.
back. So
Just make sure it's correct when you.
Yeah, make sure it's correct when you write it down, but write in a way that you understand it when you read it next time. Yeah.
You also have group learning, or if you prefer independent study, you can study in the library or in a quiet place.
Yeah.
Group learning is good if you are trying to understand a concept which you are struggling to get.
But somebody else might.
If you're struggling to get your head around it, someone else might know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're studying in a group, you can bounce off these ideas between each other, ask each other questions. And for me, this really helped.
Yeah.
For some other people, I know that they prefer independent study. They like to just sit in a quiet place and read and just write for themselves.
And I'll back that as well. I cannot underestimate the benefit of revising in a library, nice and in a quiet zone with no talking and just really focusing. It helps. And I was a bit of both. So I used to like a lot of group learning as well, but I used to like my own study time. And please, even if you go to the library, go to the quiet zone, sit quietly. Even if it's only for a sustained period of time, 1 hour, 2 hours, just sit there and then take a break, come back to it. You don't have to sit there all day for 12 hours, but quiet learning is so important. One of the other ones, sounding a bit nerdy here, importance of doing homework as well.
Yeah,
both
true.
GCSE and A-levels.
Yeah. You can't really get away with it anyway. I mean,
no, you can.
you can, but like to an extent, you can't get away with it every single time. You will be disciplined every single time you miss your homework or you don't hand it in or whatever.
Yeah.
But there are reasons as to why you should do your homework.
So let me reword that one then. The effort of the importance of putting effort into doing your homework.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the way of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, put in the effort because it's part of your revision. It's part of your studying. Once you do some work, like homework, you will keep it in your mind. And if you do that from an early point, you don't need to go back. Well, you will be going back and revising, but it won't be like from fresh. You will have something in your mind already.
Another important one, YouTube videos, tutorials.
Yeah, so there's, like we said, a lot of resources out there. One thing that we found useful, and this is more towards the maths and the science.
Yeah.
I didn't really find anything for anything else, like in terms of English.
There probably is, but we never looked.
Psychology, I don't know about you, but
no,
there was a lot of YouTube and videos and tutorials out there that help you to complete a question, and they're all based on exam questions, and they're amazing resources. For example, Khan Academy
for science. Yeah.
We've got examsolutions.net, Jack Brown.
Those are both for maths.
Yeah, both of them
so
for mathematics.
Also, something that you should always get is the revision books. I know they cost a bit of money, but schools normally give you a discount. Get the revision books. They're the most important bits, especially if they relate. Tip here for getting the revision books. Make sure they. I know it sounds stupid, but make sure it's the board that you're doing it. So
Worst thing ever.
Don't get a chemistry and Excel.
You're revising for the wrong exam board.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure you're getting the right exam board, but get the revision books. Extremely important. Make notes on them books out of class. Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
I mean, with revision, it comes down to what works best for you. This is not going to be relevant for every single person. We try to cover a broad range of different techniques and tips, but try it out early and just see what works for you.
That's the important thing to say there. Start way earlier than you normally would for your exams. Try out every single technique we've mentioned and more, and then that'll narrow it down to what you like. So you have to try all these techniques before you find out this is the one for you. And to do that and to be successful and make sure you have enough time to revise, you need to start early. So yeah, recommend starting early, rattle off using flashcards, notes, studying library, group learning, all of them. And then once you pick what you like, stick with that and go through to the end of when you're doing your exams and stuff.
Let's get into some scary stuff. UCAS.
Yeah, the most stressful part.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, okay, so UCAS is the process of applying to university. UCAS stands for Universities and Colleges Admission Service. So it's a UK service for you to apply to universities. They're all registered on that website. And it's pretty straightforward in terms of what you have to do, the points that you need to cover.
Yep.
The main thing is that you fill in your application. That's all your general information. You'll gather your references. So typically you'll just add in the teachers or your personal tutors, etc., etc. You'll fill in your GCSE grades, and then you'll also write up a personal statement. Now that is the main important point of the UCAS.
The bulk of your application.
Yeah.
And along with that, I don't know if you mentioned there, sorry, was predicted A-level grades?
The predicted A-level grades, you won't be filling them in, but when your application is submitted, your tutors...
I think you fill them in. You have to... Do you know?
No. Your teachers are the ones that are going to... so when you submit an application, your teachers are going to be putting in your predicted grade.
Oh yeah, that's how it was on. So I forgot.
Afterwards, which is very important for you to try and somewhat persuade your teachers to give you good predicted grades.
The only way of persuading them is by working hard in
Doing
class.
well,
showing them that you're
sometimes you
you're
don't get the
committed.
predicted grade that you want, and you will have to go up to them and say, listen, I do want to get to this place, I want to get to this university.
Yeah.
And they want to see this and this in terms of grades.
Yeah, well, that's what happens sometimes when you're not achieving the grades, but you can, or you're committed. The teacher can sometimes say, okay, well, you're currently working at, say, a grade C or a grade B, but you need a grade A to get onto the course.
Yeah.
But
They will give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, exactly. From what they're seeing, okay, he's committed, he's in class all the time, he's working hard, he's answering questions, he's handing in his homework on time, doing whatever. Then they'll be able to predict you that grade. And
you've got another year or like a half a year when you submit your application through UCAS until you sit your final exams. A lot can happen in that final year. You can really put your head down. You can really change. So don't underestimate. Teachers will be able to amend your predicted grades, but you need to show that you're in it. You're there for the effort, and
the A-level,
you can actually make sure you can do that.
The predicted A-level grades are extremely important in your UCAS application process.
Yeah.
The personal statement and the references are all good, but it's only so good because universities, what they want is to see, will this student achieve the grades?
They look at the predicted grades.
Even
if you aren't going to make it, they're not going to.
I think it's
consider.
Some silly statistic. Well, struggle to get that word out. That universities, they only spend like maybe a minute or two on your personal statement. They won't read the full thing because they're getting so many applications. They only have a certain amount of time to read your personal statement or reference. But what they will look at in detail is your predicted grades. They will look at them each individually and see, have you met the benchmark? Mm-hmm. So make sure you work hard and get them predicted grades.
In terms of personal statement, we're not making a workshop here to how to write a personal statement, but without a doubt, your schools, your colleges, they will most likely be holding these type of workshops or lectures or whatever to basically train you up on how to write a good personal statement. Mm-hmm. And if your school isn't doing that for some odd reason, there's loads of references online, loads of resources online which you can find and base your personal statements on that. But the most important thing is just be honest.
Yeah, don't lie in your personal statement.
Yeah, because you could be invited to interviews, and if you lie in your personal statement, they will basically cross-reference and make sure that you're actually
they'll be able to pick
lining
it out.
up.
Yeah, exactly.
So be honest. Give relevant experience. You might not always have the relevant experience. For example, if you're applying to be a medic, going into medicine or whatever, or dentistry, or engineering, etc., you might not have relevant experience at that time, but make sure that you can try and use some sort of experiences that you've had and use those transferable skills. Bring them into engineering. See how you can use communication in a project that you've done, or use communication use teamwork skills in a youth organization that you're part of, and say that these are transferable into engineering.
Make it relevant to engineering is what I was going to say. Yeah,
always.
So it could be anything. It could be doing, I don't know, anything random. So people do volunteering work in like Nepal and stuff, and try and relate that back to engineering, of how it helped you, how you helped people. I don't know whether you do medicine or whatever, but just make it relevant to your degree and show that you want to work hard and you're doing things that are relevant, basically. References
we mentioned, you want to try and get a good glowing reference, and that's based on you as a person. Your teachers, your staff at school will be basically giving you the reference, and they'll be basing it on your behavior, your attendance, punctuality, your work ethic, grades, mocks, etc. So it just goes to show that it doesn't come down to the last few months where you're submitting your UCAS, you're doing your final exams. It's an assessment throughout the whole 2 years for your teachers getting to know you. They will base your references all on that. So, and
not only that, say if you're doing your A-levels at the same school as I did, so I did my GCSEs and A-levels at the same school, the teachers I was then, the teachers who were teaching me have known me for 5-6 years or more even. So it really makes a difference how you are throughout your whole school life, through GCSEs into A-levels, because at the end of the day, they've known you for so long, and that reference will reflect that. So make sure you're not just, school, you have a lot of fun, but make sure in class you behave yourself, you're punctual, you work hard, and you enjoy the classes you're in.
Let's go into some picking courses.
Before the subjects are. So we need so for engineering, specifically they ask you to if you're picking an engineering degree, the university will specifically ask you for an A-level in mathematics, and another science subject. And then they allow you to, have whatever third subject you want. So whether that's English in your case or physics or whatever. For top unis, they expect you to have top grades.
Yeah.
So normally for engineering, any engineering, you're looking at A star, AA, or 3As to get into top universities. And that's Russell Group unis. For mid-range unis, which are really good still, you're looking at AAB or ABB, which is still good. And, if you don't understand that, you can refer to UCAS points. So that's how some unis give their grades out. So some unis will ask that the student has an A in maths and then 2 other subjects with Bs or 2 other subjects with As or whatever. But some unis don't mind what grade you get in a certain subject. It's just UCAS points. So how many UMS overall? So yeah, it could be either.
Obviously, a lot of people go through a lot of troubles in A-levels, and sometimes they don't get the grades that they hope for. But don't give up. That's not basically the system saying no, you can't go any further.
Yeah, it's not the be all end all.
Yeah, there are different options you can go down. One of them being clearing. So clearing is on the day of your results.
A-level results. It's a system.
Well, it's not on the day.
Yeah,
but
it is. It starts on. Well, I don't know if it starts on the day, but on the day of the results, you can go through clearing, which basically means universities have a certain number of slots for
open places.
Yeah, open places for their
courses.
degree. Courses. Sorry, yeah. And some of them are left open at the end, so they'll take on people with lower grades who have shown, the hard work or whatever through your references and personal statement. The ability to do well at university, and they'll take people on. So the hope never dies. Just
and what that day basically entails is that you get your results. Let's say you didn't get what you wanted. You'll now get on your phone, get on the internet, and you'll be calling up different universities. They'll have dedicated clearing hotlines and whatnot, and you just call them up and you say, listen, I want to get to this blah blah blah, and hopefully
good explanation. Yeah.
Hopefully you get somewhere.
Yeah.
But there are different options. That's the point.
Never
the point is, you don't give up. That's not the end of your career.
An important thing for engineering is, so you'll pick whatever engineering discipline you want, but before you pick a course, you need to ensure it's accredited by the correct body.
That's true.
So we'll just quickly rattle off. Shall I take one? You take one.
Well, so first of all, accredited bodies are they're basically bodies that govern the subjects that you're studying. And to become a chartered engineer, and chartered engineer is basically saying you're an official engineer. That's it. Like, there's no way you can not be an engineer at this point.
No, I don't think that's what I mean. A chartered engineer is like,
as in, you've done the studies, you've done the experience, you're an engineer.
Yeah, it's basically a show of engineering studies and experience. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's showing that you're at the elite level of engineering.
But to get to that stage, you need to have covered a number of modules and etc. etc. And a lot of these university degrees are accredited by these institutes, but you need to make sure that they are.
That's the most important.
So, for example, chemical engineers, they need to be accredited by the IChemE, which is the Institution for Chemical Engineers.
Mechanical. So I'll do one, you do one. Should we do
go
that? So mechanical engineering, the accreditation you're looking for is IMechE.
That's the same with aerospace and medical and bio engineering.
Yeah, they're all under the umbrella of IMechE.
You might find that some engineering degrees have different institutions. As long as it's accredited by a certain institution and it allows you to get to a chartered engineering status, and they will always mention it on the website. Yeah. So make sure you read the website very well. And
learn about the accrediting body as well. So learn about the IMechE, IChemE.
It's another thing that you can mention in your personal statement. Show that you got interest, you got passion.
So electrical is IET.
Yeah, that's the Institution for Engineering and Technology. You have civil and structural engineers, which is the IStructE and the ICE.
Yep.
You can see like a bit of a pattern here.
Yeah.
Institute something. Engineers.
So software engineering is SEI. So I assume software engineering informatics. I'm not sure. Very prepared.
Software Engineering Institute.
Oh, Institute. There we go. And engineering management. So if you're not looking to do the technical, but you're looking for project management and financial management behind the scenes of engineering, you can also do a degree in that. So the accrediting body you're looking for there is also the IET. But yeah, those are the main subjects, I guess.
And with all of this, hopefully you're going to be getting somewhere in terms of university. This is all building up, getting into your university degree and essentially starting your engineering career. That's where you start learning more about engineering, and that's it. You're on the path for sure. These are the building blocks. And with that being said, you want a strong foundation.
Yeah.
So this early education period, you don't want to be slacking. You want to be making sure you work hard, enjoy it as much as you can, but work hard, get the grades that you need, because you will build a strong foundation, and then anything you build on top of that will be strong in itself. If you have a weak foundation, you're going to have a weak building. That's basically it.
Yeah, so just wrapping that up, importance of early education cannot be underestimated. Work hard, try hard. For university, or even if you're doing something else, early education is so important with whatever you do in life next. So yeah, wrapping all of this up. I mean, it's been a long episode, just conscious of time. Yeah, should we move it on?
Yeah, it brings us to the end, I guess, the end of today's chapter. It concludes our build-up of engineering.
Yep.
And from now on, we won't be discussing our educational period, so we're not going to be discussing any more stuff in GCSEs or A-levels. We might touch on the university aspect here and there. But from now on, our episodes will be a lot more based on current and general engaging engineering topics.
Yep.
We'll have different segments. We want you guys, the listeners, to actually engage with us. We'll make it a lot more about news that's current in engineering, and hopefully just a bit more interesting.
Yeah. So we'll have some guests on hopefully as well.
Oh yeah.
That'll make it fun. Also, please get involved on our Twitter, email. Make sure you get in touch with us.
You'll find them in the description, but Twitter is at An Eng Odyssey.
Mm-hmm. And our email is anengineeringodyssey@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Also, any questions you have about this episode, I know we may have rushed over a few things and brushed over them, but if you have any questions that you want us to answer, please let us know. We'll either get back to you through direct message, or maybe we'll mention it in the next episode if it's an overwhelming question that we get asked. So do get in touch. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us on this chapter of An Engineering Odyssey.